A question that I get asked on my stream quite often is whether or not I should get the Thunderer or the Georgia. Both of these are coal battleships, one being tier 9 and one being tier 10. And it's a question that I've had a very hard time answering in the past because both of them are well worth the coal. Whereas the Georgia is one of the most fun battleships that you can get in your entire port. The Thunderer is the strongest battleship in the entire game, without exception. So it's always been that, like, do you get this really, really strong, overpowered ship, or do you get something that is, well, quite strong in its own tier, but is also incredibly fun to play? So hopefully this helps answer some of these questions, because I know both of these ships are going to be going away in the next patch. That's going to be happening sometime around mid-February, so hopefully this is something that can help you guys make that decision, because if I were to recommend either one, I think the majority of players should probably go for the Georgia. And the reason for that is the Thunderer is a very boring ship, in my opinion. The Thunderer excels at sitting very far away from people because it does not have any armor to use, and it shoots high explosive. Yeah, you can shoot armor piercing out of it, but for the majority of the time, you'll be shooting high explosive. And that's what the Thunderer does. It's very good at it. It dominates pretty much everybody it fights by doing just that, but it's also quite boring. Whereas the Georgia is... It's a good meme, but it's a very good meme. Wargaming usually likes to reach into the big old bag of gimmicks for making premiums, and for the Georgia, they have like 4 different gimmicks that they just kind of slapped into one ship. And with all of these gimmicks on one boat, you actually get something that you can work with quite easily. So let's go ahead and talk about the Georgia and why I like this boat so much. Now, the Georgia is what I consider to be one of the strongest battleships at tier 9. The Musashi is obviously the strongest battleship at tier 9. That hasn't really ever changed. It's a tier 10 at tier 9. But the Georgia is a very close tied for second. And the only reason I say tied for second is I would equate the Jean Bart, the tier 9 premium French battleship, as equal to the Georgia. So it's very, very good in its tier. The Georgia is most similar, I would say, to the Iowa, but not 100%. The only real similarities between it and the Iowa are the armor, in which case that neither battleship has armor. The citadel protection on the Georgia is laughably bad. If you get broadside or give broadside in this ship, you will probably receive a citadel, and you probably deserve it. So you got to be very careful with this boat. HE resistance is okay. You have 38mm side and deck armor, which is great, but you have this gigantic tumor of a superstructure on your ship that tends to eat a lot of AP pens as well as HE damage. So you kind of negate the 38mm by just having that big massive superstructure. So the Georgia isn't really that tanky of a ship. It's nowhere near as soft as something like, say, the Alsace or the Jean Bart, which don't have any HE resistance at all or overmatch protection. But the Georgia is by no means a very durable ship when it gets up close to people. What it does have, however, is quick recharge USN heals. These are the same heals that can be found on ships like the Ohio and the Massachusetts. These are heals that, instead of an 80-second cooldown, have a 40-second cooldown, which, well, I did just say that the Georgia takes a lot of damage. It heals it back very well, because your heal is just coming off cooldown so fast whenever you need it, that if you ever get into a stuck-in fight where you need to absorb hits, the Georgia can actually tank those hits and then heal it back within a few seconds. So that is something that does kind of help out the Georgia quite a bit in being able to stay around and have some pushing power. The other thing about the Georgia, as far as its gimmicks go, is the secondaries. This is one of, I guess, 4 secondary-based USN battleships. It's weird because I'm now considering Oklahoma in that category, but the other two main ones that you're probably familiar with are Massachusetts and Ohio. These are all ships that get 11.3 kilometer max secondary range if you choose to build so, and have improved accuracy. Now, I'm not actually running any secondary build on this ship at all as far as captain skills. I'll show you the build after the game, but I am just using the slot 3 range upgrade. And as you can see, the secondaries do hit, but they're not, you know, the most accurate things in the world. But, you know, it is a very valuable gimmick to have because it allows you to get close to other people and not have to shoot at them with nothing but HE from your main guns, because the side of your ship is going to do a little bit of work for you. And speaking of those main guns, the Georgia has absolutely fantastic main guns. This girl has 6 18-inch guns, 457 millimeters in caliber. These have a 26-second reload and follow the same dispersion formula as the Thunderer, which does make them, at its base, the most accurate main guns in the entire game, except for maybe the Slava, as far as battleships go. However, the main difference between this and the Thunderer in terms of accuracy is because the Georgia is a USN battleship, it gets access to the special, or I guess unique, slot 6 upgrade that USN battleships get, which is the minus 11% dispersion upgrade, which means that when you mount this on the Georgia, you are becoming one of the most accurate ships in the game with your main guns. Add to the fact that they're 18 inches in caliber means that you're basically overmatching every cruiser that you'll ever fight. And so when people angle against you like that Talon just did earlier, it doesn't really count, and you can quite easily punch them in the nose. And you can do it quite accurately because, quite accurately because, you know, the guns are just so accurate to begin with that when guys go bow in like that, you don't really have to worry about a shotgun hurting you. And the other fantastic gimmick that the Georgia has, the last one, is probably one of her more powerful ones, and that is the speed boost. The Georgia has a base speed of 33 knots. That is the same as the Iowa, making them, and the Missouri, making those three the fastest battleships in the game by default. I think the only thing that can rival it is the Gascon. However, when you slap a speed flag on, you get 34.6 knots, and the speed boost on the Georgia is a 15% multiplier, which means that with the Georgia, you are able to top out at 39.9 knots. Now, this is faster than the Bourgogne, which used to be the fastest battleship in the game. The Bourgogne can be faster if it procs the Felipe talent for 2 million potential damage, but that's kind of hard to do. And this just means that the Georgia is a battleship with very hard-hitting, accurate guns, very good secondaries, a very powerful heal, and can get out of danger or reposition around the map incredibly quickly. And all of these tools that the Georgia has at its disposal makes it a very strong ship, and one that is just really a blast to play. I mean, you saw the power of those main guns there. I just hit 4 out of 4 shells on an angled Mogami at 11 kilometers. Like, how often does a battleship hit 100% of the shells that it shoots at somebody? Like, it's not often, but the Georgia tends to do it quite a lot. And it's just absolutely a ship that it definitely would recommend getting. On top of that, the Georgia is a premium ship, and because of the way that Wargaming reworked the new commander skill system, you can put Halsey on this ship even if he's spec'd for something else. Normally, I keep Halsey spec'd for USN heavy cruisers, and I have him on the Des Moines. However, I've been using him on my premium battleships lately, using the Battleship Deadeye build, and he has been absolutely fantastic, and he's just being a Confederate machine for me. And the Georgia has a 26-second reload, so when you proc Confederate and you're down to a 20-second reload on 18-inch guns, it's absolutely disgusting. I think I'm on like 24 seconds of reload right now, and I'm going to proc a Confederate with the next salvo on this Alaska, and it's just going to take my damage output from very good to absolutely insane. And so there's just so many things about the Georgia that make it well worth the coal that I can't, in good conscience, tell people to get the Thunderer over this boat. Yes, the Thunderer is the best battleship in the entire game, but it's so boring, and it ruins tier 10 gameplay. And Honestly, like the majority of people that I see that come into my Twitch chat and that we're talking about the Thunder, they'll tell me that they either won't buy it through sheer principle alone, or they have it but they don't like to play it, or they just whenever they play it they're just bored out of their mind. So when you're given the option between throwing a whole bunch of coal at either one of these ships, I would definitely recommend to get the Georgia, just because of that fun factor alone. If you already have the Thunderer and you may not have enough coal to get the Georgia is available for money. However, it is quite expensive. Being a tier 9 premium, Wargaming does charge around 80 US dollars for it if you live in the United States. Of course, that price will vary depending upon your region. So there is that route as well. However, I'm not gonna like tell people to go out and spend that ludicrous amount of money on one pixel boat. So that's up to you. But yeah, I mean, just looking at what the George is doing here, I'm essentially bow tanking alongside my Musashi who just died, but the Musashi didn't have much HP to work with. And now I'm in a 1v1 with a Palmer, and I don't have much health to work with, and I'm burning through my last heal. So, uh, it's just not a good situation to be in. But with the Georgia, it's perfectly fine, because I'm just going to be able to crush this guy. Because while a German battleship may think that they're a brawling ship, all you gotta do is just, be a better brawler than them. And there's the high caliber award on this game, 192,000 damage already. I'm out of heals, I only have 18,000 health left, and somehow I'm still in it. Now, I see this bomber in turn, and so I know he's torping, so I instinctively go forward. And because he turns, he basically gives me broadside. And if you guys saw the dispersion on that would have hit like basically all 4 shells, and probably been a 20k volley if the guy had the health for it. So, and there's the torpedoes dodged, just as I said they would be. I might be cheating because obviously I'm recording this game well after I played it, so a little bit of mental cheating never hurt anyone. But yeah, great ship all around, and well worth purchasing. So, and yeah, that's that's really it. It's just a fantastic car. And if you have the ability or the means to get it, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you let this one slip past you. Because Wargaming will be removing it from sale with this next patch, as I said earlier, and that'll be happening around the middle of February. Now, keep in mind, with Wargaming, they have never brought a ship back that they've removed from sale. Every ship that they have ever removed from sale, the only way that you can get them is in the gambling Christmas boxes or through a super container. And you're never really going to get it from a super container, so don't hold your breath for that. Or you can gamble for it, but that's gambling. That's a very weird shot in the dark that's probably not going to work out in your favor. So, honestly, I would get it now so that way you have it and then don't have to worry about trying to get it later from missing out on it in the first place. But yeah, let's go ahead and just go over my captain build real quick, just because I get asked what I'm running on the Georgia quite often, and I just want to go ahead and show you guys. So, alright, now as far as the captain build that I'm running, since you are able to take advantage of Halsey or the John Doe commanders, I would definitely recommend picking up both of these 1 and 2 point skills. Gun feeder is very nice if somebody's sitting bow into you as another battleship, and maybe you don't have the ability to really damage their superstructure. USN battleships get pretty solid HE with the 18-inch guns. So 43% chance of fire, 6400 alpha. Absolutely, feel free to shoot HE into their bow. You'll get a nice chunk of damage and probably set a fire. The other one, Grease the Gears, is very nice in the Georgia because the Georgia has 45-second turret traverse, which is not the best, so you want to go ahead and buff that as much as possible. Adrenaline Rush is a no-brainer, and then from there I would pick up Concealment and Deadeye. You kind of need both of these at the same time, which does require a 14-point captain, but if you're playing at tier 9, hopefully you have something along those lines. From there, I would save up points to the 18th point and get fire prevention, and then with the last 3 points, if you're there at that point, go ahead and pick up basics of survivability. That's how I would build the captain. As far as the upgrades are concerned, pretty straightforward. Main battery mod 1 here. However, Georgia turrets are particularly well armored. Let me go ahead and show you real quick. It's like 540 millimeters on the frontal plate. Now, it's not exactly well angled, but that is very thick. So it's not something that you really have to worry about them getting in-capped that much. So you could take auxiliary armaments if you're running an AA build, which you never should because that's weird, or a secondary build. Now, if you don't have a speed boost, buy one. They're coal. If you don't have the coal, run damage control mod 1. Slot 3 is your choice. You can take main battery mod 2 for extra turret traverse, which makes them quite snappy indeed. I think it'll bring it down to like 32 seconds. I'm running the secondary firing range just because having 9.4 kilometer secondaries is just a nice little way that if a battleship gets close to me, I have a little bit of extra damage on them. Alternatively, you could run artillery plotting room, which is in slot 3 as well. That gives you more range. Now, range does have an effect on your vertical dispersion, which does mean that your vertical dispersion will be a little bit better at all ranges. It's not a massive increase. It will help out a slight amount, but don't expect it to be much. I would really only run this for the added benefit of the range itself, because Georgia is quite limited at only 20 kilometers. Slot 4, propulsion. You might not understand this one, but when you use the speed boost on the Georgia and you press W from 0, you will be going 10 knots in like a second. You'll understand it when you use it. Propulsion is a very, very good upgrade that I think is highly undervalued by most of the World Warships community. Most of myself and other high level players, most of myself, wow, I'm good at this. Both myself and other high level players tend to run this on pretty much everything. Concealment, obvious choice, and then artillery plotting room. I tried reload, but you want to kind of min max your accuracy with battleships, and this one has always felt better than reload. But that's going to go ahead and call it for the video, guys. So thank you if you're still watching. Appreciate the support. It does help me out a lot. If you guys could drop a follow to the YouTube channel or the Twitch channel. I think there's subs here. I'm a Twitch streamer. I don't do YouTube. This stuff's hard. But guys, take care. I will talk to you all later with another video. Not really sure what I'm gonna do it on, but have fun. And I'm out. Peace.